I stabbed a man in court, said it was an accident, got out of charges, it was not an accident. When I was freshly 18 years old, I got into a fight at the park near where I live. It was a rather large brawl, of about say, 12 people. Midway through the commotion, I pulled a knife out of my ankle sock and stabbed someone for the fuck of it. Went to court and the CCTV footage was unclear and I pleaded self-defense and that I never meant to stab anyone. I know what I did it cause I felt like it. Don't do it again at least? When I was 7 I threw a brick at a girl's face, now she's blind. I'm 24 years old, and I grew up in a third world country, Brazil. 2 of my cousins lived close by, they were my age at the time. We used to ride our bikes together every weekend around the neighborhood we grew up in, we loved that shit. Some of my best childhood memories, we lived in a rich area, but we grew up poor, and I don't know if that was worth mentioning or has any relevance, but we used to ride in our underwear because we were savage kids. On one particular day we left the neighborhood and stumbled upon another group of 3 kids. 2 boys and 1 girl, they were probably the same age as us. My stupid cousin stops to say hi. Once they laid eyes on us, they just started laughing at us and mocking us, calling us underwear boys and literally calling us homosexuals because we were in our undies but weren't clothed. Kids can be so goddamn cruel, including myself, and at the time I was in shock and they humiliated me. I have no idea why I did this, nor did I mean to single any of them out, but I just looked around and saw a big brick on the side of the road. I remember this perfectly. I picked it up and prepared to throw it, like a shot put competitor would, because it was too heavy for me to throw it overarm style, so instead I shot put launched the brick right into the nose of the little girl. It looked like it crushed her nose, and the sharp end of the brick rolled into her eye, pushing it back into her head, probably cut or crushed her eye. As soon as that happened she dropped on the ground bleeding everywhere and stared screaming. Everyone started screaming. We just sprinted back on our bikes and pedaled as quick as we could. Once we rushed home we hid under the bed. After like an hour, my auntie found us and interrogated the story out of us. She was furious but didn't narc. The dad of the little girl must have come out because some pissed off yelling furious 40-year-old man was knocking in every house trying to find some kids but couldn't figure out where we lived. We could hear him yelling to neighbors saying he was going to kill us and look at what they'd done to my daughter. It was so scary. I am actually so thankful for the neighbors, they all knew who we were, but mentioned that no kids lived here. After a week this was never spoken of. I think it traumatized even my auntie having to live with it. Years later when I came back to visit my cousin I saw this girl with an eye patch, and she's turned into a beautiful woman. Wish I could apologize, damn, it's just not possible. My friend and I burned down a house when I was a kid. When I was around 8 years old, I lived in an area that had a lot of summer homes. After summer was over and the home was empty, my friend and I would break in. Break in is used loosely. A lot of times windows were unlocked, or even sometimes a door. We used to look for money. We loved going to McDonald's. One time we even found a lockbox. Busted that open with a sledgehammer. We usually didn't take anything but money. There were TVs or beds, but I was 8. What would I do with any of that? Almost never any toys. I did take a really cool looking mini statue. I still have it to this day. We were in one house playing with those long wooden matches. One of them lit the shag carpet. We couldn't get it out. We rode our bikes out of there like the devil was on our heels. Some days later we both rode our bikes back to this house. The place was burned to the ground. Destroyed, nothing left. I can still smell it. I also remember I stepped on a nail and it went into my foot. Hurt like hell. We rode our bikes away and never talked about it again. My family moved away when I was in 5th grade. I lost contact with the kid. I have never told anyone. I put peanut butter in my friend's drink thinking she was lying about her allergy. I was young, only in the 2nd grade, and had recently been taught about lying. After our lessons on sinning and doing bad stuff, I developed the idea that my friend, let's call her Lily, was lying about her peanut allergy and just didn't like peanut butter but was too ashamed to tell me because they were my favorite snack at the time. Not to mention the times when someone would bring in a snack for the class and we'd always have to check if they had peanuts in them. If they did, the whole class couldn't eat them so that she wouldn't feel left out. I was tired of what I thought was a dumb, made-up lie and decided to take matters into my own hands by bringing a big jar of peanut butter and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Once it was snack break, I waited until Lily went to the bathroom to take out my peanut butter jar to slip a spoonful into her cup, shaking it good so she wouldn't suspect a thing. Once she came back, she sat down and drank some of her peanut butter infused water. As she did so I watched with wide eyes, making sure to take in every detail, now convinced that she's been lying the whole time. Suddenly, Lily started coughing uncontrollably, choking and thrashing herself all over the floor. It also didn't help that she forgot her EpiPen at home that day, causing her to convulse and forcing my teacher to call an ambulance. It turned out she was severely allergic to peanut butter, and I never had the gall to tell her what I had done that day. We're still friends today, and she strongly believes that her father was trying to kill her that day since she got in a fight with him the day before regarding her dead mother. I regret joining a gang, and now I am not sure how to cut ties to these people. I'm 17 and live in a rich country with not much big gang activity. When I was around 10, had a very good friend group with around 10 to 15 people in it. We did normal things like played sports and video games. Around the age of 15, one of my friends got his hands on some weed. Not a big thing. Pretty sure he got it from his older brother. He smoked it and liked it, no big deal. Suddenly, in a span of 4 months, his personality had changed a lot. He started being aggressive and rude. Fast forward a year, and I found myself with him and 20 other people robbing and attacking people and selling drugs. I never sold anything, but I've seen everything that happened, and I was involved with beating innocent people up. I have met and became friends with members from an actual mafia/criminal organization that sells drugs on a much bigger scale and does money laundering. I don't have any direct ties to the mafia, but know about 5 active members of it. I don't want to be involved with them anymore, but I don't want to get or my loved ones hurt. Also, because I am only 17, I don't want to ruin my future with gang activity. They also own firearms such as handguns and shotguns, probably a lot more than that. How do I get myself out of this? They'll use you and your friends to sell for them and take all the heat if it goes wrong. Just slowly distance yourself and hope they forget about you. I messed up my local ecosystem by setting hundreds of Californian ladybugs free and never told anyone, even after I started noticing the changes. I just recently was reminded of this story by the man on TikTok who let millions of frogs go in his backyard. Someone in the comments mentioned the story of a man who let out ladybugs, and a wave of regret hit me. When I was about 13, my science teacher let us choose our own final projects. My friend and I wanted to do research on metabolism, and after searching around the internet we discovered that ladybugs would be the best test subjects for our experiment. We somehow got approved by our school to order 100 ladybugs from California for the sake of science. However, when they finally arrived, it turned out that my teacher had ordered wrong and there were 500 lovely little creatures waiting for us in a box. We got a bigger container to hold them all and ran the experiment as planned. Spring break finally rolled around and my teacher assured us that he would take care of the ladybugs while we were gone. However, when we returned, the box sat unmoved on the table. Our teacher had forgotten to feed them and they all lay on the bottom, dead from starvation. You would think that having done an experiment on the metabolism of these organisms that can withstand crazy temperatures and prolonged starvation, we would have realized they could still be alive, but no. I cried and felt terrible for leaving all of them to die. My teacher reluctantly gave me permission to go bury them to respect their loss. I opened the container and a swarm of ladybugs took flight, dissipating into the air. Some were actually dead, but the majority had left the container. My teacher watched this happen, and although a lot of the details are fuzzy, I'm 99% sure that my teacher told me to keep it quiet. The next years to come came some of the worst ladybug-related disasters my small town had ever witnessed. They crusted the windows of every home and ate foliage like crazy. People who were unfortunate enough to have poor insulation, including me, would find them in every nook and cranny in the house. In such a tight-knit community full of farmers and gardeners, word spread fast. And I just watched it all happen, knowing full well who was responsible. Years went by until the population of ladybugs seemed to go back down, but they still run rampant. I'm not sure what help could have resulted from my confession, but it certainly would have cleared up what had happened for the dozens of townspeople who didn't understand why this was happening to them. I feel absolutely terrible and wish I had confessed sooner. I know it seems like an unfortunate mistake, but in hindsight it was reckless and I should have told someone sooner. I have told a few friends since the story re-entered my mind, but I just thought I needed to apologize to the public.